Life's too short to rebuild your application every time. In today's video, we are diving into how you can cut CI build times by up to 80% using Expo Fingerprint, Expo Repack, and EAS Workflows. First of all, what is Repack? Repack is a technology we developed at Expo and lets you skip the native build step entirely. Instead of compiling every time from scratch, Repack takes an existing native build and injects the latest JavaScript bundle into it. It's fast, really fast. We're talking about 5 minutes instead of 25 for a full native build. Now let's say your team triggers 1,000 builds a year to run end-to-end tests. Shaving off 20 minutes per build saves you over 300 hours. That's almost 2 full weeks of precious engineering time. Let's dive a bit deeper and see how the entire Repack workflow looks. As a high-level overview, in case you're not familiar, a React Native application is composed of 2 parts, the native side and the JavaScript bundle. These 2 parts communicate through the JavaScript interface. This architecture is really powerful because it allows you to swap the JavaScript bundle independently of the native code. And that's essentially how Expo updates work. As long as the native part of your application is compatible, you can ship a new JavaScript bundle, no need for a full rebuild. But how do we know if the native part of my application is still compatible with my latest changes? This is where Expo Fingerprint comes in, another technology we developed at Expo. Expo Fingerprint lets you deterministically identify the native state of your application by generating a unique hash. So when a build is triggered, we compare that fingerprint to previous builds. If there's a match, it means the native code hasn't changed, and we can reuse that existing build, skip the native compilation, and just inject the new JavaScript bundle. Now let's see it in action. But before we jump into the demo, there's one important thing to keep in mind. Repack is not designed for production builds. If you're shipping to the App Store, you should still run a full native build. This ensures proper symbolication and signing, specifically if you use tools like Sentry for crash reporting. Repacked binaries might not include all the symbol files needed for those tools to work correctly. All right, now that we've covered that, let's jump into the actual demo. Here's my simple app. It's called Mystery Cat, and I'm writing end-to-end test for the home screen. And I want to add a couple more things to my test. So I'm actually using the Maestro desktop application. So let's run my Maestro test locally. It's launching the app, and then it's asserting that Mystery Cat is visible. So I want to improve this Maestro test a little bit. Let's go ahead and add a tab on. And then I'm going to pass the ID of my element. I want to click on the unlock cat button. So I added this test ID. Let me go back and I'm going to reference my button by ID. Let's hit save and run locally. This is going to launch the app again, assert that the title is visible, and then it's going to navigate. Cool. And now we can integrate the Repack workflow. First of all, you need to create a .eas folder. Inside this folder, create another folder for the workflows that we want to run. And then you can rename this as you want. In this case, I created my file with the title end-to-end with Repack. I'm going to leave this source code in the description for your reference and you can copy paste it. Let's quickly go through the jobs. First of all, we calculate the fingerprint. Based on that, we get an existing build if we have one. So we have this get build for Android. In the case that we already have a build that is compatible with the changes that we are uploading right now, we can repack it. The repack job needs the build that is going to repack. So we pass this based on the output of the build that we have in here. The type is repack and the parameters is the build ID. That's all it needs. It's going to fetch that build and repack it. Otherwise, if the fingerprint is not compatible, we need to make a new build. So we are defining just a simple Android build here. We're also saying that it needs the Android get build job. And this is so that we can actually validate if we actually need this, otherwise we are going to skip it. And finally, we have the Maestro job. We are going to run it after the Android repack or Android build. So we're taking the build from the repack or the Android build job. After that, we pass the Maestro test that we want to run. This is my Maestro workspace inside my folder that I have in here, this is the name of my test, subscriptionflow.yaml. And that's basically it. And then we have the same stuff for iOS, where first of all, get the build, we define the repack and build jobs, and finally the job that actually runs the Maestro test. So let's see this in action. I'm going to open my terminal and trigger this job manually. You can do that by running EAS CLI, workflow run, and then pass the path to the workflow. So it is inside my EAS folder, workflows, and the name of my file. So I'm going to hit enter again, and just like that, it is in progress. I'm going to click on this link to see the progress. Here we have the workflow in progress. We are almost 5 minutes in. And as you notice, the fingerprint was calculated. Then we detected that we had some builds. So we repacked them. And now the iOS Maestro is done. And we are just waiting for the Android. So if you click on the job, it's actually going to scroll down and you can find more logs and information about this specific job. It is installing the application on the emulator and now it's running the test. Okay, so the test was completed successfully and the job should be done now. And it took almost 6 minutes. From here, you don't need to worry about anything else. The workflow is going to detect if a new build is needed and then it's going to create it and basically save it for later. Otherwise, it's going to keep reutilizing your build and speeding up your development process. Just as a reference, I want to show you guys the first time that I triggered this workflow. I didn't have a build, so I had to wait almost 25 minutes for this workflow to complete. And when it was completed, I realized that the path to my Maestro test was wrong. So I was scared of having to wait 25 minutes again after fixing the path of my test. But here it is. After that, I fixed the path to my Maestro test and everything worked in 5 minutes. And this is where repacking apps really shines because you are saving a lot of time on each build. And that's it. If you're running tests on every pull request, this workflow can save you hours every week and unblock your team faster. Let me know in the comments if you're planning to use this in your application or if you have any questions. And if you find this video helpful, give it a like and consider subscribing for more content like this. I'll see you in the next one.